Now we got to predict the college football playoff top 12. The rankings come out on Tuesday, so we got to get ahead of it. I have long said that the AP poll rankings do definitely impact the college football playoff rankings. And those start with the preseason rankings. People say, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. No, it does. Because if you look at a Tennessee or a Missouri team, no ranked wins, and then you look at Tennessee as well, they have 3 losses. They are still currently ranked. If Tennessee doesn't come in the season ranked, they're probably not ranked right now. Conversely, you have Washington, who just got ranked, Iowa, who is still unranked, who I believe will come in the top 25 because the committee typically does get things right on the back end of things. And then the AP poll will then respond to what the college football playoff does. Now, right now, the biggest question surrounding things is going to be who is number one. Now, the AP poll has Ohio State as the number one team in the country. And there is definitely a case for that. Their defense is number one. Their offense is efficient. Their quarterback is good. They are the current national champions, well, defending national champions. So there's a case to leave them at number one. Who should be number two? It is going to be the Indiana Hoosiers. Now, the only other team that could even make an argument for it is Texas A&M. Texas A&M's only ranked win is over Notre Dame. And Notre Dame is a 2-loss team and is going to be ranked behind Oregon. And Indiana's best win is against Oregon. And they have absolutely torn the cover off of every other team besides Oregon and Iowa. That's it. And I believe that Iowa will come in inside of the top 25 this week. They're going to have 2 top 25 wins based upon the college football playoff rankings. So Iowa should be sitting at number 2. And then you wonder, okay, who is number 3 going to be? That's going to be Texas A&M. When you look at the rest of their schedule, they got Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, and then Texas. Obviously, the Texas game is going to be really, really tough with the way Texas is playing right now, despite I do think that they're a tad bit overrated in the AP poll. But the Missouri game, we don't know. Missouri's supposed to be a good football team, but they haven't beat anybody. Every time they play against a ranked team or against somebody that we think is pretty good, they lose. And they just dropped to Vandy, who Vandy just got beat up by Texas, even though the score didn't necessarily indicate it. But yeah, it was out of hand for a large point of the game. So Texas A&M will be number 3. And now here's where it gets dicey. Are you going Oregon, Ole Miss, Alabama? I believe that you have to put Alabama as number 4. You look at their wins. They've already beaten Georgia, who is sitting in the rankings. Now, they do have an awful loss with Florida State. So that has to be factored in because you can always be that team that lost to Florida State. But they have beaten Vanderbilt, which is a solid team. Missouri shouldn't even be ranked in the top 25, but there. Tennessee, currently ranked top 25, even though that they have 3 losses and no wins against anybody who even has a winning record. But I digress. And then South Carolina. So that Georgia win should be carrying a lot of weight for Alabama. So I would put them in the number 4 spot. And then there's the question of who is number 5, because Georgia has not been as impressive as their ranking. They have beaten Kentucky. They have done a struggle fest with Auburn, who just fired their head coach. They beat Ole Miss, and then they beat Florida. So that Ole Miss win, because Ole Miss is clearly a team that is winning and not losing football games outside of that Georgia game. So that is going to put Georgia at number 5. Who is number 6? Because I believe at this point in time, you are debating between BYU, Oregon, Ole Miss, and Texas Tech. And if we're looking at Ole Miss's, their best wins, LSU, no. They fired their head coach. They're not even the top 20, 25 team, which I was trying to tell everybody for forever. But this is why you listen to George Wrighster's College Football Podcast, because we are show prep for everybody else. We tell you what's coming way before it actually happens. They beat Oklahoma. That Oklahoma win is a good win. But outside of that, what are we talking about? Nothing. We're talking about a lot of nothing outside of that. Then you have Oregon, who, when you look at their schedule and who they have beaten, that Penn State win, I believe, still carries some weight. Penn State still had their head coach. They still had their hope. They still had their quarterback. They still had some level of belief, but they made the mistake of putting all their hopes and dreams into that game. And then you got a tough loss to Indiana. Beat the hell out of Rutgers, beat up Wisconsin. So Oregon's dominance is taking a lot of credit here and their win over Northwestern. You're going to debate the dominance of Oregon versus what you have seen out of the dominance of Ole Miss, which I do believe Oregon's dominance has been better there. But then the other one is BYU. Now, BYU has a very huge matchup against Texas Tech this week, which will determine a lot, but they already beat Utah and they beat Iowa State as well. So there is a debate there. I believe what the committee is going to do is I believe that they're going to put Oregon number 6, Ole Miss number 7, and then BYU number 8. And then that gets you to Texas Tech, because Texas Tech has been running around with quarterback issues because Baron Morin hasn't been healthy, but they have been beating the hell out of everybody. And their only loss was when their quarterback wasn't there. Their starting quarterback didn't play against Arizona State, and they lost 24-22. That's their only loss. This Texas Tech team is worth high consideration, and even consideration as high as 5th or 6th. But will the Big 12 get the credit that they deserve? That's the question. That's why I believe that you're going to have BYU at 8, Texas Tech at 9, and then inexplicably, based upon what was going on in the preseason, here is where we get to Notre Dame. Got Notre Dame coming in at number 10. I believe that that's where they fit based upon the fact that they are a 2-loss team. And 2 of the teams are Miami, who is now ranked 18th in the AP poll. And then the other loss is to Texas A&M. But they lost those games by a combined 4 points. So you still believe that this is a very good football team. So Notre Dame 10. And then I think that there is some credit given to Virginia and Louisville here, because I think that we're in this Virginia, Louisville, Texas situation. And I don't believe that they want to give too much credit to Texas at this point in time with the way that they started the season and get cries of SEC bias. So I believe that the committee then will give you Virginia at 11, because you can't put Louisville in front of Virginia. Louisville's only loss is to Virginia. So you can't do that at all. And then I believe the number 12 team in the college football playoff, if we're doing the bracket, is going to be Memphis. Believe that this is the way it is going to shake out in these first rankings. And people will tell you, don't overreact. Yes, you should overreact a little bit. If you see 5 SEC teams in there, you should absolutely overreact because of the standings. Now let's look at the top of the SEC standings, because it is interesting, because the top 4 teams, they do not play each other for the rest of the season. Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. So they can all finish either undefeated in conference play or with only 1 loss. So that means that these teams are still going to stay highly ranked as the season goes on, and especially with those November cupcakes and other people in other conferences playing conference games and them losing. This is why this is the last season of the SEC's hustle, because next season with 9 conference games, stuff gets a lot more tricky for everybody. But you guys, hop in the comments. Tell me, who do you believe will be number 1, and who do you believe will be left out of the top 12 right now? Leave it in the comments. I'm George Wrighster.